Today on Hello Nintendo, we'll be discussing the SNES Classic pre-orders, the shutdown of the Miiverse and Nintendo being sued for $10 million and their subsequent exit from the gaming industry. All that on more on Hello... goodbye Nintendo. Hello everyone, I'm your host Matt, aka TrainS, and joining me today are Michael, aka Awada Fan.
Hey there.
We've got Alex, aka the Scottish Lion.
Hey everybody.
And coming back for another tour of duty, we've got Brooks, aka the Poochie Kid.
Glad to be here as always.
Thanks for joining me, guys. So before we get into our news topics, let's kick things off and we'll find out what we've been playing since the last episode. Brooks, let's start with you. What have you been playing in the past couple weeks?
Well, casually, not really that much, but this weekend I was able to go. The Nintendo World Championships were nearby, and I got to go, well, of course, participate and not win, but I'll play Super Mario Odyssey. And let me just say, it is amazing.
Yeah?
Yeah, we had 10 minutes to play, and got to choose either the Sand Kingdom or the Metro Kingdom, and I chose the Sand Kingdom. So much freedom, being able to do so much. The roll move is a great way to travel around, and it was just a lot of fun. It's pure Mario fun that really don't know if I felt since Galaxy back 10 years ago.
I never played Galaxy. I think I played
What?
Mario 64 and yeah, I know. I never played either Galaxy. I played Mario 64 and Super Mario Sunshine, so...
You need to play Galaxy.
I know.
It is amazing.
I have Galaxy 2 on the
Second best
Wii
game
Virtual
of all
Console.
time. Yeah, but really the only real complaint, and this is a very specific nitpick, but Mario's wall jumps are really small. Like, they don't travel him nearly as far as they did in previous games. But that's incredibly minor, I know.
Cool. Well, I'm kind of looking forward to it. I'm kind of hoping that there's a demo. I really want to... Because money gets tighter, so I definitely
It's a 3D Mario game. What you have to worry about?
Something I'm not going to play? I don't know. I bought ARMS after everybody said it was great, and I haven't touched it. But Alex, what have you been playing the last couple weeks?
I haven't been playing much, to be honest. I've dabbled in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and Mario Party, just hanging out, and fun as always, but I haven't been playing anything much that's super fun to talk about.
Oh, Mario Kart 8's always fun.
Oh yeah, of course. Oh, they're great games. Tons of fun. Chaos, randomness, laughter. So everything you can expect out of a great Nintendo experience.
Did you get 3 stars in gold cups on all the tracks?
I have not gotten gold stars on even 50cc yet.
Well, just do the 100cc, get gold on those, and then that'll just boop right down to the 50. So
Just doing in 150cc.
Or you could do that too, yeah. Which do you prefer? Do you prefer, like, if you play online, do you prefer just doing regular tracks, or do you prefer the battle modes?
I prefer the battle modes. I actually really like the competitive spirit that battle mode brings. But it's still that fun Nintendo experience that's very casual. But playing the regular tracks is fun too. That's probably the reason I haven't gotten all the gold stars, is because I really don't care to. I'd rather spend my time playing online.
Well, and if you've already did it on the Mario Kart 8 for Wii U, because battle mode was the big thing that was missing from the Mario Kart 8's first go round.
Yeah, except for I didn't own a Wii U, so this is my first experience with a Mario Kart since Mario Kart Wii.
Oh, perfect. This
Yeah.
is your nice.
Yeah, no, it's been fun to get back into it.
Well, that's good. Michael, what about you? What have you been playing the last couple weeks?
Well, I had the opportunity to travel some to the great nation of Canada, as it turns out, and I was able to see what it's like to take a Nintendo Switch on the plane, and I was playing Retro City Rampage, actually. And then in addition to that, I brought my 3DS because I am trying to get through Hyrule Warriors as well. So I've been kind of dabbling in a bunch of games this last week. Just also a lot of other stuff. I played Mario Kart 8, I played ARMS, I played this and that.
Note to self, speak with Canadian Border Services about allowing Americans in the country. Well, that sounds...
They let me slip through. What can I say? It was a lot of fun. I did a lot of damage while there.
Well, that sounds fun. I never got too far in Hyrule Warriors. Like, I liked playing it on the Wii U, and then when my save game disappeared, I just kind of was like, eh.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Play. Is the 3DS version all that? Aside from visually, is it all that different from the Wii U version?
Well, I mean, it adds an additional mode. As I understand it, the additional mode is Legends mode, which is a more elaborate story mode. And it's episodic in nature. So, I mean, you go through these stages, and they've added a few things, probably more weapons. I believe there's some DLC or some characters exclusive to the 3DS version. But other than that, it's pretty much the same game. It's just with some extra flair.
The story mode was in the original Hyrule Wars. They just added a few more like bonus episodes to it. Say, like following Sia and Linkle and Toon, Zelda, and all those people.
And they call it Legends mode now. So that's the main thing you're supposed to do with it. And then they do also, I think, have a story mode where you kind of go through this classic 8-bit map. I actually don't know how to describe it. It's just an additional mode where you get to be a Hyrule warrior, and as you progress, it just shows an animation of a 8-bit Link on an 8-bit map, just kind of journeying through. So it's an interesting game. I'm glad I'm playing it before Fire Emblem Warriors and things like that, and perhaps the inevitable port of Hyrule Warriors to the Switch with Deluxe. I'm hoping for something like that, but I wanted to play the original since I owned it. Yeah. They should put it on the Switch. I think that's one of those games they need to definitely copy paste over, if nothing else.
I agree. Yeah. Absolutely. So I haven't really been playing a whole lot of Nintendo games. I've been playing a ton of Overwatch. So if you play Xbox, you probably know it, or PS. Actually, no, it's on Xbox, PlayStation, and PC. So I've been playing a lot of Overwatch. I'm maining Mercy. Seem to gravitate to that support. So I've been doing that a lot. And the other day I decided to resume playing some more Cave Story. And found out that one of my Joy-Cons is kept disconnecting from my system. So I'd be playing, and next thing I know, I'd be going to the controller connect screen. So, yeah.
Rough.
Yeah, I'm lucky because I got a spare set of Joy-Cons. So, yeah.
And 2 spray-painted Pro Controllers, right?
No, I didn't get around to doing the other one.
But
it's on my to-do list. I mean, it's not like it's going anywhere, so yeah, but yeah, I'm gonna paint my other one the gold, so I can have a nice gold one. So that's pretty much what I've been doing the last couple weeks. Why don't we dive headfirst into some Nintendo news? I'm gonna hand things over to Michael for our first news topic.
All right. Well, the big news this week has been Nintendo has actually had a lawsuit successfully judged in their. Let me start over. Nintendo has officially received a lawsuit in which it was judged in favor of the company suing them. iLife Technologies has successfully sued Nintendo for $10 million for stealing Wiimote technology, or more specifically, the motion sensing technology. So iLife's claim was that they used motion sensing technology for products that are for baby monitoring. And this has been going on for a while. I think I remember this lawsuit being brought to the courts about 2 years ago or something like that. But yeah, the judgment was in favor of iLife, and so Nintendo has already said they're going to appeal the ruling, which I don't necessarily understand the judicial system completely, but I think what will happen is they're going to bring it to another court. I think they call that the district's court, and we're going to see what happens next. But I mean, this is the first lawsuit in recent memory that has been successful. Nintendo obviously gets a lot of lawsuits for this and that, of people claiming that they implemented this sort of technology or this IP or this game first, and the lawsuits never succeed. But this one actually has, and it's very surprising because it assumes a royalty for every single Wii that was ever sold, and up until around 2013 when the lawsuit was filed. So, what do you guys think of this? For me, it's been quite surprising.
I mean, it seems that I mean, having Nintendo pay for every single Wii sale, like that's have to cost them a ton of money. Like, I think originally they were suing for $144 million, but fortunately, it only seems like they'll have to pay $10 million. Though, still, that is a lot of money.
Right,
Though,
and then I mean, since they're also appealing it, it still might not happen. But if it does, I definitely agree. 10 million is a lot better than the original amount, and
yeah.
also whatever amount they might calculate if they were to actually consider every single Wii ever sold, which is different than.
Oh boy,
Yeah,
that's
so they didn't even bother to ask for that to begin with, which is good for Nintendo, obviously. But yeah, it is very interesting that they're determining the damages on the basis of how many Wii's were sold, and they're basically asking for a cut of each sale. So it's interesting that that's how they determine the judgment against Nintendo.
what can be said except Nintendo is Nintendoomed. No, just kidding.
Uh,
See,
our prophecy has finally come to pass.
No, now we can no longer do that in the outro.
the original lawsuit, the $144 million, was $4 for each of the 36 million Nintendo Wii units sold. And since that point, they've sold over 100 million Wii's. But the point that they're suing them for is up until the suit filed. The court reduced it to 27 cents for each of the 36 million Wii consoles sold at that point.
That's not that bad. 27 cents.
No, in the large scheme of things, it's not gonna impact Nintendo too much. Nintendo has some pretty good lawyers.
And even if the appeal ends up failing, I think that's only like less than 1% of 1% of their total net worth.
Like I know iLife actually produces products. It's not like a company like Rambus where all they do is they just sit on a few patents that they purchase, or some other companies that will actually just go and buy patents and then sue everybody. So iLife actually does produce products. So it's going to be interesting. It would be interesting to kind of be a fly on the wall to find out who missed. If there was something that actually was missed. When the pat was filing, was filed and everything to allow this to allow that to go through, and then this happens. So
Yeah, I mean, in a way, there's just not much to worry about because, like we've basically been saying, Nintendo has a lot of money in the bank, and I'm certain they have indeed an amazing team of lawyers to get them through this. So, um, I don't expect a very negative outcome for Nintendo. I mean, the outcome as it stands is not that big of a deal, but um, I believe that this is just another attempt by a company who made similar technology around the same time, just trying to get a cut of another company's sales. Just for it, to me, it seems to just be for money. Because the nature of technology is it will be very similar to what's going on in the wider world. Other companies might be doing very similar things, so the notion that Nintendo stole this from this iLife company seems rather dubious to me. But so that's another interesting aspect of this lawsuit. I wonder how they determined, did they determine that Nintendo did indeed steal this technology and that's why they're being judged against, or was it some sort of uh, partial stealing of sorts? So Nintendo got some of their ideas, but not all of them. It's interesting.
well, why don't we pass things over to Alex for our second news topic about the Miiverse shutdown.
Yeah, so Miiverse shut down. All services are going to shut down on November 7th of this year. Unfortunately, this means that Wii U chat is going to go. Super Mario Maker Miiverse postings are going to go. You can still claim the archives. Mario vs. Donkey Kong Tipping Star, their online functionality is going to be disabled. So, what do you think about the Miiverse implications of it shutting down? What does this mean for the future? Are you going to miss it? And is normal social media like Twitter and Facebook an okay replacement?
Miiverse kind of had this charm to it that, like, it's kind of chaotic. It was like 95% of the posts were random letters, garbage made by kids, but I don't know, there was still something about it that I kind of liked. Like that, and I'm kind of sad to see it go.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting platform. I mean, the problem with social media is there's so many platforms, and a lot of them can pretty easily fail. Even, for instance, Twitter's Vine platform that would only seem to last a few years at most, and so it's really hard to have a social media platform in today's world. Uh, for me, I think it's very logical of Nintendo in looking towards the future to not focus on building their own independent platform, which is very limited in functionality anyways. I mean, you can show screenshots, you can draw things, you can write captions, and you can and un-yeah other people's posts. Uh,
Yeah.
and I mean that's okay, but you can pretty much do all of that on Facebook and Twitter anyways, and everyone is on either Facebook or Twitter. Maybe with that, maybe exceptions being just a handful of people in the world, and so it's very logical. The way I used Miiverse to begin with was usually to get screenshots online so that I could show people. So Twitter makes now what I do is I have an account that I've tied my Switch to, and I just put those screenshots up there, and my that Twitter account essentially acts as an album for my Switch content, and I can refer to things really quickly that way if I'm, for instance, talking on Reddit or showing friends something that I thought was interesting in a game. And so the functionality is completely replaced by these platforms. So I mean, Miiverse is charming. It is a Nintendo product, so it has a Nintendo feel to it, but it certainly never met its potential in my opinion, and so I didn't necessarily see the point in seeing it continue on.
I think you're right, because it didn't really meet its potential. Is kind of a big reason why it got shut down. I mean, the Switch has pretty much, like, you wouldn't even know that Miiverse existed, when you're using the Switch. Um, like Microsoft and Sony both have similar things built into their consoles, where you can share screenshots, you can share small clips and stuff. You can meet up, you can meet up with other people, but like obviously I don't know if theirs was better thought out, or the fact that it's like Nintendo really came down on a lot of content, whereas the Sony and Microsofts are kind of a little more open. So I think that could be why that theirs are still doing well and Nintendo's is gone by the wayside.
Sony, Microsoft. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
No. Sony, Microsoft, better thought out online content. Shocker.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I mean, they're just better at online. I mean, there was an era of online gameplay being widely available on PC, PlayStation, and Xbox, and Nintendo was saying, we just don't think people want to play games online, and so we're not going to implement it. And that was the GameCube era. And so, I mean, Nintendo has just been remarkably slow to even implement online features, and we're still experiencing that now with things like voice chat, this external app, and things of that nature. So, I mean, really, it just has been something that Nintendo has always taken very interesting paths with. And so Miiverse is really just another example of that. Something that was partially featured, I suppose, but it just never really did everything that you would want a tool like that to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when I first got my 2DS, I was interested in Miiverse after I discovered it was a thing, and I would traverse the depths of it. I quickly found out that it was not being used the way I thought it was going to be used. One of the first games that I got was Ocarina of Time for the 3DS. So what I was hoping was that there would be, cool tips on how to play Animal Crossing, that the Animal Crossing would be a community of people, a little bit like Reddit, helping each other out. It wasn't anything like that. It did create some memorable memes, and it made me laugh, so I'll always remember Miiverse. Miiverse will never die. In my mind, long live Miiverse. But yeah, it's time for it to go. And also, you gotta look at it this way: what Nintendo is doing is they're also putting out their own content now more in the market. This is secondhand marketing by putting more Switch pictures directly on Twitter and Facebook. It almost works as advertising, free advertising for Nintendo now.
Yeah, absolutely. I figure that because the auto-generated hashtags. I forget which ones exactly are always included, but I'm pretty sure it's just Switch, and then usually whatever game you're playing. And so those hashtags can be trending if, say, on the day of release, everybody's throwing up screenshots of the hottest new game. So yeah, absolutely, it's free advertising, and no one went to Miiverse on their computers except for people like me to get my screenshot. But yeah, I mean, Twitter is accessible and people actually use it. People who aren't using Nintendo products actually use it, so it's just perfectly logical.
I don't know, if I wanted to get a screenshot off my Wii U, I'd go to Imager. I just uploaded to Imager directly to Facebook. You didn't have to go to the Miiverse.
Well, that's news to me, and in light of that knowledge, maybe I would have never used Miiverse. I just didn't do that.
They kind of ruined Imgur on the Wii U, though. You can no longer upload pictures on it.
Oh, that's too bad. Did you just say Imgur? That's the first time I've heard it said like that. Imager is what I've always said.
Imager?
I thought it was Imgur.
Oh man, we have a problem, guys.
Great.
This is the whole GIF and GIF thing all over again, isn't it?
Oh wow,
exactly.
Yeah.
As if we need one more of those.
Yeah. No, I think we'll be looking back at the Miiverse. I don't know if we'll be looking back at it fondly, but I don't know. I with it being shut down, it'd be nice to actually see if it could be archived somewhere, so that maybe the Internet Wayback Machine will kind of help with that. But so you could kind of look back on stuff, because I mean, some of the fan-made artwork on there was just unbelievable. we're going to do our Nintendo subreddit topic, which is the SNES Classic pre-orders. This is a big one. And who wrote this? Who wrote this little poem?
I did.
You did? It was very well done. I'm going to try and read it as best as I can. So, 'twas the night of August 19th, and all through the house not a single key was clicking, not even the mouse. Then Walmart and Best Buy, Amazon and everywhere, all put up their pre-orders at once, to much despair. Each retailer sold out in 20 to 30 minutes at most. Cries from gamers could be heard from coast to coast. Then Walmart canceled all pre-orders again, and ThinkGeek sold overpriced bundles. Is anyone really a fan? Target began canceling Canadian SNES pre-orders, and scalpers started scalping at $300. Oh bother. That's all I got.
Moving, very moving.
Jeez. This.
Brooks, why don't you take us through this topic?
Well, I mean, Matt already went through a bit of it, but I mean, I think everyone who's listening kind of knows the story already. Ready? All in one day, all the major retailers put up their pre-orders, and just so much went wrong with it. Like, I can't even believe. I mean, already went over it. Walmart canceled all their pre-orders again. Then, after saying they said they wouldn't do more pre-orders, then they put up pre-orders again, and fortunately they actually canceled duplicate orders. And then Target canceled SNES Classic Canadian pre-orders. ThinkGeek, of course, sold those overpriced $300
Those are
or
ridiculous.
SNES Classic bundles with random stuff you don't want.
Well, didn't EB or GameStop do the same thing? Aren't they selling random bundles as well?
GameStop owns ThinkGeek.
Oh, oh wow, I completely forgot
Yeah.
that.
And
And
I don't
then-
know, were they doing it at this point, their bundles? They did NES Classic bundles well after the initial pre-order phase, but I'm not sure if GameStop did the bundles for the SNES Classic quite yet. But they're certainly doing it through ThinkGeek.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So one of them said that these bundles are beneficial to consumers.
No,
I
false.
don't see how that is at any.
Get
At any-
out
If you
of
want a
here.
bunch of useless statues or blankets or whatever, or loot, I don't even know what all of these things are. It looks like there's a Triforce lamp that was mildly interesting to me, but then I kind of remember that I have a wife who appreciates home decor and would not like to see something like that. And so I don't know. There's just there's so few ways to implement this stuff correctly.
Yeah, like I'm looking at some of these as
To make
well.
use of this junk, you know.
I think every major retailer messed up in some way. Because
Oh yeah.
yeah, GameStop, we already covered that. Walmart canceling like twice. Nice. Target canceling Canadian pre-orders. Amazon canceling all orders to PO boxes. They didn't even give you a chance to change the address.
See, the Target one I
And-
can kind of understand because shipping to Canada, you know, it's
Are there no
Target
Targets in...
Target shut down, was it a year or two ago? I mean, they still owe the Canadian government millions, or was it billions of dollars in like taxes
Oh,
and everything.
Jeez.
Oh yeah, Target was only up here for a couple years, and they completely screwed up their rollout and everything. Oh, it was.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess the best one here was Toys R Us, because
Well,
they didn't even do pre-orders.
Yeah, they're doing the same thing with the Super NES Classic as they did with the NES Classic, where you show up and try your luck.
Launch day for this thing is going to be very interesting.
Yeah. I what I ended up doing is, of course, I was moderating the subreddit that day as all these pre-orders are live at this website came up, and I was trying to approve all these, but while also wanting to get my own, and I failed at my attempts to get every single one at every single website, including the
Oh.
ThinkGeek bundles. But what I was able to do was do an in-store pre-order through GameStop. So, I mean, what I did is, obviously, like many other places in the U.S., there's GameStops spread throughout my city. And I just went from one to the other and called one and an, like one after the other until I finally happened upon the GameStop on the outskirts of my city, and I was one of 3 or 4 people to get it, and we all showed up at the same time. We all knew what we were there for, and so miraculously, I ended up with a pre-order that way. Um, but yeah, it was hard. You really have to be. You have to just be there, be at the right place at the right time. Because when these pre-orders go up, like the very moving poem by this very profound artist we have on our mod team says you had 20 to 30 minutes at most. I feel like it was more like 2 to 3 minutes though for some of these websites.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forget. Someone told me that they were going up, and I was lucky, and I got my pre-order through Best Buy Canada, and a friend of mine as well. He was able to get his, and I think after we got our pre-orders, I had a bit of a panic attack because even though it showed up, it everywhere that I'd look for my order status, it said it couldn't find anything, and then I finally got the email from Best Buy. But I think Best Buy Canada was gone within about 20 minutes, if that.
Yeah.
Oh wow, yeah, it's crazy. And then what was it? Quebec didn't even get pre-orders, and nobody really knows the reason why.
So, as the resident Canadian, I'll try and fill in that one a little bit for you guys. Quebec is it's very backwards with its language laws, requiring French and English on all signage and everything. In fact, even to the point where the French needs to be on top and slightly bigger than the English, which you could always take that as a euphemism for something else. And so because a lot of these games, there is no French translation, the manuals, there's no French in there. It's been banned because there's really no Quebec French anywhere in there, which is really
it's not
dumb.
Stroking their ego.
Yeah, and it's really dumb because there should a lot of this stuff should be grandfathered because they're so old. These games are so old. Just because it's coming out on a shiny new box doesn't mean, the content itself is old. So that's kind of why. Which is
Well, that's interesting. That makes sense. I mean, I actually that's where I went in Canada. I was just in Quebec, and I mean, the main thing I noticed is that I've been to Toronto area a lot, and every street sign and every major sign at every place you see would always have English and French because both are the national language of Canada. But in Quebec, all the street signs were only in French, and a lot of times people spoke only French, and so that was an interesting thing to me because I expected, just like in Toronto area, for both languages to be on everything official. But not so much. There are areas there at least that really are very French centric, and it seems that indicates to me the importance of the language for them, and I guess that is reflected in their laws as well, where French needs to be really prominent.
Yeah, you'll find that in some areas, people will speak. If you go up to somebody and start speaking English to them, they'll be able to respond in English. And then there are other areas where if you start speaking English, they'll kind of turn their nose up at you. But yeah, I ended up finding the actual article. So it was a law that went into effect in 2009 that requires that all games sold in Quebec contain a French translation. And so since these ROMs that are on the Super NES Classic are not actually translated, that's why it can't be sold there. And it has to do with the law was part of a government effort to preserve the Quebecois French and culture. So that's kind of why. It's kind of really dumb.
That's stupid.
Honestly, yeah. So, but on the flip side, this will open up the black market for English only games. No, the only thing I like at a Quebec is the poutine.
Yeah, lots and lots of poutine. I ate like
Please tell me you
5.
actually had real Quebec poutine when you were there.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I tried poutine pretty much at every place that sold it. If nothing else as a
Fast food
side dish.
places don't count.
Oh
McDonald's,
no, they
Burger King,
don't.
A&W, those don't
No,
count. So it has to be like an actual, you know,
I ate
yeah.
exclusively at an actual one of a kind cafe spread all along Quebec City. And I mean, honestly, I'm sure some of them were more touristy, but the kind of poutine I ate was not the French fry kind where you have the long, skinny, um, 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 well, yeah, what we call French fries, what what the
Oh,
British
that's
make.
yeah. Those the British call them chips. They're French
Yeah.
fries in North America. No, that's
Okay.
poutine.
I
Is
don't.
fries,
Yeah.
gravy, and cheese curds.
Yep. And I greatly enjoyed it. It
Oh,
is
good.
marvelous.
So did you guys get your SNES Classic pre-orders? Were you guys able to score them?
So how much was the SNES Classic gonna retail for again? $60, right?
Up in
80.
Canada, it's after tax, it's about $100 up
Okay,
in
so
Canada.
80
And
here.
$80. Yeah.
So yeah, I didn't even try to get a pre-order. My thinking was that if it was going to be available, that I was interested. I really liked the SNES games, and one of one of the cool things that I thought with the NES Classic, which I also skipped on, was that it got hacked. So my hoping was that the SNES would eventually get hacked as well. However, the amount of effort I would have to put in to and comment if you're in the same boat that I am, because I'm interested to see how many people think this. The amount of effort that you have to put in to get one of these, it's almost not worth it.
Yeah, in a way, I agree because it's just such a difficult product to obtain, like we're all lamenting about, and you have to wonder what's going on. Is this and people have been asking this any time there's been a shortage of any Nintendo product? Is this on purpose or is this like Nintendo not planning ahead? Well, I mean, Nintendo's been in the market for decades, obviously, and so I mean, my suspicion is it's on purpose and it's to help drive their flagship products, so like the Nintendo Switch and the Nintendo 3DS. So, I mean, if you want to be a Ponzi in their grand little scheme, I suppose you go out there and you find an SNES Classic. And I myself wanted to be a Ponzi, so I did that. But
Oh,
I
me
mean,
too.
I mean, it's
At
obviously really cool to get if you can. But I mean, the problem is you really had to be just available within that 1 to 2 hour space of time.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely. It was luck of the draw.
exactly.
at the very least, there are rumors that at least the GameStop stock, only 40% of them were allocated to pre-orders. So, at the very least, maybe there could be some in stores at launch.
Well, if what Nintendo said is true, they have increased production quite a bit for this release. So hopefully, your chances of getting one in store, are you get a better chance than the NES Classic. I'm going to be going to GameStop early on the 29th to actually try and score one in person because I've got a couple friends that were not able to get them. I mean, Dan, our own editor, was unable to get one, and a friend of mine as well from Saskatchewan wasn't able to get his hands on one. I have one coming from Australia, so I mean, I've at least got one. My pre-order is actually going to be going over to Dan, and if I can get this one in store, I'm going to be sending that to my buddy in Saskatchewan as well. So just because I'm a nice guy, but I'm hoping to score one in store.
But hey, at least on the bright side, r/Nintendo passed 300,000 subscribers.
Yeah, all thanks to the SNES Classic. That really rapid. I mean, it was coming, but it was supposed to take a few more days. But the SNES Classic delivered ahead of schedule, basically. That major milestone, and we actually had to throw up a big a big post just saying, "Hey guys, we know all this chaos is happening right now, but we just wanted to mention that we think this is pretty cool. So thanks for helping us get to 300,000 subscribers." So it was interesting. Yeah.
What games are you guys looking forward to playing the most on your SNES Classic?
Sonic, not Sonic, Star Fox 2.
No,
I've
absolutely. That hasn't
yeah.
even been widely available. Otherwise, it wasn't ever officially released.
No, it's always been ROMs here and there, so I'm looking forward to being able to play an official copy of the game. Absolutely.
And I wonder if they like. I mean, I know the rumors say that they technically did finish the game, or that it was at least mostly finished. So does that mean the developers swooped in um, and actually completely finished? So was anything added that we don't see in currently available versions of the game? That'll be interesting to see because we don't know that information yet.
Yeah, that I'm really curious. It would be really kind of interesting. It would be really neat if they did this, like what EA did with the Command and Conquer series, and I think Capcom did with Mega Man, but release for certain games. Oh no, sorry, it wasn't Cap. It was Rare on the Rare Replay. You can actually
Mm-hmm.
unlock documentaries and information and stuff about different games. So it'd be really interesting if Nintendo had done something like that for some of these games, where they could have talked to the developers and found, a little bit of history about some of these bigger games. And Star Fox 2 would be perfect for something like that, to find out why was it not released officially, and what was needed, and how did it come to be released officially on this. That would be really interesting.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I wish they did that now that you mention it. I mean, Nintendo kind of comes across as this very mysterious company with lots of secrets that don't often get shared, and so they're it's hard to get a major insight into them
Mm-hmm.
sometimes. But I really wish they would produce official documentaries. Obviously, we have the Iwata Asks interviews, which are really insightful. But
Just go completely in depth
yeah, I
about
mean, let's
everything.
really get into it.
I want a Sticker Star documentary.
Or a Smash
That would
Brothers.
be an interesting documentary for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What happened with Sticker Star? Yeah, but I mean, the games. To get back to the SNES Classic, for me, I grew up. I really started with the N64. I had a Sega Genesis. My sisters let me play, but that was my only real foray into the 16-bit era. So there were a lot of games I missed. Obviously, I did end up buying the ports of many of these games, such as Link to the Past and Super Mario Kart, but I never really played, and Super Mario World, of course, as well, Yoshi's Island, but I never played a lot of these games, like Super Punch Out, Super Metroid, even Ghouls and Ghosts, Castlevania. This is a real all-star lineup of games that are always referenced as must plays, must haves. That even people like myself who grew up in the 90s might have missed. So this is an opportunity for anyone who can get their hands on
Mm-hmm.
one of these to actually try these games out and see what all the fuss is about.
The SNES, it is a great system. Like I've said, it's probably one of my favorite systems. I wish these were more widely available because I could see myself actually playing this more than the Switch right now.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's kind of swooping in at a good time, I think. Well, at least the pre-orders. Super Mario Odyssey will be out in a month or two, but um, there have been a few dry spells as you're waiting for the next big Switch game. Something like the SNES Classic can help fill it out.
So before we wrap things up, I have some breaking news. It's just announced today. Mario is not officially a plumber. So according to the Japanese language profile that you can find on Nintendo's website, so not only does he do sports and drive race cars and go into space and swim and everything, but he was also a carpenter. If you remember the game, when he was called Jumpman during the Donkey Kong games. So he kind of always was doing something that was really cool at the time. I don't know, cool or whatever. So it's almost as if Mario was the first tipster. I don't know. I don't know. I just thought that was, I just thought that was really interesting. That even on Nintendo, on Mario's profile page on the Nintendo Japan website, pretty much says like he's not really, he used to be a plumber, but he's not really a plumber anymore. So, well, that about wraps it up for this episode of Hello Nintendo. I'd like to thank my co-hosts for joining me again today, and thanks to all of you for listening to us. If you've got any comments, any questions that you want us to answer during the episode, please post it in the subreddit on the thread for this episode, and as we always read those, and we can answer your questions on the next episode. So our next episode, we will be discussing one of our other questions. Will there ever be a Melee HD? There'll be an official Melee HD?
Well, you're gonna have to tune in next time to hear my answer.
Yeah. So we'll see you next time on Hello Nintendo.
Hello, Nintendo!